Hi, this is Dr. Onna Lowe, and we're going to go straight to the part two of my tips to help you creating a healthy, healing home. Again, a home is where a big place where we spend a lot of our time to recuperate, regenerate. Energy doesn't come out of nowhere. Energy needs to be generated, and so having a healing home is how we can build that internal source, that fire to kind of serve how the rest of our day could be like, the rest of our work life, the rest of our home life could be if we have a very solid grounding foundation of a calming, healing home. So we're going to start by going through different rooms. My favorite room, and I think is the most important room, is actually the bathroom. I work with a lot of people with IBS issues, with a lot of, autoimmune issues where the gut is the source of where a lot of these things happen. So my number one tip for a healthy healing home is actually anything that would help optimize your bowel habits. And so my first thing is called a Squatty Potty. Actually, for my kids, we just went to IKEA and used small stools for them. So they can step into stools and use it for brushing their teeth. But anything that actually helps them be able to go into a more squatting position, especially young kids, their feet can't touch the floor. So to be able to actually have their knees be 90% bent, 90 degrees bent, and then have your pelvis actually slightly curved and flex more, and putting you into a more natural anatomical position where it's just easier for the bowels to come out is probably the most optimal for you. Also, that's so good for hip mobility. As we age in the Western society, we sit a lot, but we never get into that uh, power position of the squat where you use our glutes, you use our thighs, and we also don't build up that where we have to stand back up from squatting. So, super important. To be able to have a healthy 1 to 2 times a day bowel movement is the key, and to have an anatomically correct experience is probably going to be super helpful for it, especially for people who have hemorrhoids, who have bacterial overgrowth like SIBO. For you to not to be constipated, it's going to make things much worse. And also, in the conversation of detox, um, you need to be able to pass out any toxins through your bowel movements, in order to have a thorough detox. The second place I would look at in a bathroom are any of the personal care products. As earlier when I was talking with the water, our skin doesn't have a very good filter system to filter off of any sort of chemicals and toxins. And so it's super important for us to be aware of what kind of products we put in our skin. One of the most common one is deodorant. We don't really want an antiperspirant. There's no such a thing that really stops uh, sweating naturally unless if it's a chemical. So you don't want to pluck up those ducts naturally. You really want to just have, a natural deodorant that covers the smells versus one that actually, it's actually causing your hair follicle to change or causing your skin pores to kind of plug up, which is not a good thing. Um, and then the third thing that you want to pay attention in the bathroom is mold or mildew. So, if you are looking at your bathtub and you are seeing black slits, around that area, it's super important that you clean them out with natural cleaner. I'm going to have a section on that and have a PDF that shares with you how to naturally clean out mold. But it's a strong neurotoxin. It can cause a lot of havoc in your immune response. And so you really want to get to it soon, especially against black mold. But again, in the bathroom, make sure the fan is on. Make sure you have a good, drying. You squidgy up any excess fluids, wipe it off, air out with a window open after you shower. Those are really important practices that really helps minimize exposure to these toxins. I also talked about lily plants to be a good indoor plants that help with that actually recycles mold spores. So in terms of personal care products, we talked about deodorant, but hairspray, toothpaste, soaps, and body lotions. So one of the things to pay attention is any of the things that cause fragrance, even the toilet paper. Triclosan, or phosphates, anything that causes a nice fragrant or antibacterial soap. Turns out they are creating superbugs. They're not only not antibacterial, they're creating superbugs. They're also causing a big environmental impact where they're causing overgrowth of other things in the environment, such as algae. And so as a result, the algae is stealing away from oxygen from the water, and causing other sea animals to not thrive very well. But it's also not good for our skin as a skin irritant. So super important to be aware of that, eliminating any unnatural fragrances. Toothpaste, again, fluoride, we've talked about. Fluoride is now a known neurotoxin by, published in Lancet, a very strong journal. And it's important to avoid using toothpaste that has fluoride in it. And because we're also exposed to it in a lot of the water that is in the city water. So, pick one that doesn't have fluoride, using baking soda, use xylitol as a rinse for your mouth. Also just from changing our diet, if your concern is by not having cavities, turns out when we eat a diet that's more like Western price, right, where we don't have a lot of grains, don't have a lot of, added sweets, very minimal inflammatory foods, a lot of vegetables, a lot of, bone strengthening foods, bone broths, and also having a lot of fermented food that creates a healthy flora. Those are all excellent ways to help with cavity, not just by one item of fluoride. We've been marketed to believe that fluoride is the single thing that actually prevents cavity, which is not true. It's really about how we optimize and change our lifestyle. Now let's switch to our bedroom. Bedroom is also super important because we spend about 8 hours at least in that place, and it really should be used for two activities. One is for sleeping, and the other one is to be intimate with your partner. And if you view, and so that means that you want to eliminate any other things like watching TV, having electronics, Netflix, galore. You want to kind of avoid of that and make your living room, your TV room a separate space, because our brain is very smart, and it tends to create associations by practices. We wire our brain by the behaviors we do. And so if this is a good example. If you actually have insomnia, you can't sleep very well. Turns out if you wake up and you toss and turn for 3 hours at a time in the morning and don't get out of bed, your body not only associates the bed to you sleeping, but it associates the bed to you tossing and turning. And eventually it becomes harder for you to actually battle this insomnia behavior. So it's good to kind of get yourself out of bed if you're having more than 2 hours of not sleeping. Go do something very non-stimulating, reading a book in a low light environment before you come back into bed, or you can go into meditating, which staying in bed could be a great thing. Meditating, being relaxed in your bed is another good activity. But what else can we do to optimize your bedroom? So I think lighting is super important. Here you see that I have my salt lamp that I put in, but I also have my shrine. I have a place that really just position and say this is a very subconsciously, I want myself to go into a deep, relaxed spiritual space where I can connect with my subconscious and process my day to day activity with a very intentful space, intentful protection. And so I would have a very low lighting. I don't have strong lights or strong fluorescent light in my house, in my bedroom. And by having really good lighting also supports my sleeping habits. And I also think that having an ionic diffuser is super helpful. Again, it's a great way to infuse nice scent rather than using chemical linen sprays or using dryer sheets for my beddings. It's a great way to just kind of clear the air and use specific essential oils that matches the mood, such as lavender. Super great for improving sleeping. So for beddings, for my bedroom, it's super simple. If you look, there's nothing on the wall. And beddings wise, I actually really highly recommend that you invest on organic beddings because organic cotton, because cotton is the number one GMO product and it's also, full of pesticides. And so imagine if you are sleeping in it for 8 hours, covered in it, it's washed all the time, it's going to be washed out, the particles are going to be breaking down with every wash. You want to minimize inhaling or just, covered in, pesticides. Also, mattresses. I put a lot of emphasis on my mattress because a lot of the flame retardants that are found in it, a lot of the materials that are found in mattresses are actually hormone disrupting chemicals that could really change our hormone system, change, our the way we break down estrogen and increases our risk for, cancer. It could also increases our risk for infertility issues. So I have a rubber based mattress for my daughter and my son, and that's made from natural rubber. It's actually super soft and comfortable, and it doesn't change in shape over time. I actually, for me and my husband, we have a organic cotton futon. We got it right out of, residency when finances was an issue for us. But it's a much smaller, um, thinner futon bedding. What's nice about it, it's all organic, it's soft, and it doesn't have any flame retardant on it. So we love it, and we're still using it. Um, we talked about electronics and TV, not charging, your phone next to your head, and making sure there's some timer that kind of turns off, any electronics or Wi-Fi or router near you. Um, Other things, so for bedrooms, so some really cool tools that I've used over the years. I've used this product that works with your heart rate variability, called Heart Math. They have ones that are not attached to an iPhone or Android. That's called M-Wave. But I like this one because it's actually really easy to use and I don't have to be looking at the screen. And I can just kind of listen to the prompt and help me breathe. And as I breathe, it actually increase my breathing, how slow it is. It actually turns on my coherence, which means that I am turning on my parasympathetic nervous system that turns on my relax and digest mode. And so by training with a heart math, especially when I wake up in the middle of the night and can't fall back asleep, or if I have trouble falling asleep, it's a great tool to actually help me sleep. Other great tools included also just simple music, right? Very light white noise machines, or listening some recordings, downloading some recordings that uses sleep hypnosis, body scanning, teaches your body how to progressively um, um, relax from different parts of your body. The new one that I've been using that's been very cool is the True Dark glasses that you see here. The one on the left that's red, it actually really just removes a lot of the blue light, in the environment. And so when I'm putting it on half an hour to an hour before I go to bed, it really starts just shutting out any stimulation from light. And as a result, my sleep, it's just so much easier for me to fall asleep. And I go to bed at 10, and it switched me from my 11 o'clock sleep to the 10 o'clock, because a lot of times I go to bed at 10 and I kind of don't fully want to sleep. And I'd be itching for a book, I'd be itching for some TV shows. But putting on that glass just puts me right to bed, and I end up just waking up super refreshed. Now, another super cool part of the house where, as a functional medicine doctor, we talk so much about our diet and what puts in our gut is half the healing journey. And so being able to have good water, which I talked about earlier, filtering our water, making sure that we're, what we contain our water, using, you know, getting rid of the chlorine and the fluoride from our water and any other impurities are super important. But the second one is actually cleaners. So there's so many toxic cleaners out there. Federal guideline basically prevents or doesn't make companies disclose all the chemicals they use. And actually, a third of them have so much chemicals that are just really causing issues to your health, like cancer, like hormone disrupting things that could cause infertility, skin irritation, lung issues. But the most important ones are the ones that are, that has been greenwashed, meaning that they've been marketing to sound like they're eco-friendly or have been very, specifically health beneficial. And so right off the bat, avoid one that says antibacterial, like antibacterial soap, antibacterial clean, like triclosan, quats. Those things actually create superbugs, and they can be super irritating to our skin also, and it's carcinogenic. Also, avoiding things that are scented. Again, very common in dish soap are phthalates, are common in air fresheners and toilet papers or paper towels, known to be also disrupt hormones and can cause infertility. Another one is phosphate. So phosphate were banned from in now in laundry detergent, but now it's still in some dish cleaners, and it actually causes a lot of issues with environment, and it also is a health issue, causes health issues. But what do? If I'm telling to get rid of all these things, there's so many DIY products. I think going on to environmental work group, ewg.org, is a great place to start. You can look for ways to make, do it yourself products, or they have all these EWG approved products that are actually safe and good for the environment and good for your health to use. So you definitely don't have to be relying on these commercial cleaners. I personally love Dr. Bronner's because it's easy, and if you go on their website, there's like hundreds of different recipes you can use to clean, especially cleaning windows. And all you really need is just baking soda, vinegar, glycerin, and any essential oil and some soap like Dr. Bronner's. That would just, you pretty much can make almost anything. My next piece is, let's see, refrigerator. So when you look in the kitchen, you open the refrigerator, it is so key to actually look at the food that you have. I mean, there's so many we can talk about it, but I think just to give you one tool that will be super helpful is just start by picking, go into the EWG, an environmental work group, and they have the clean 15 and dirty dozen, and it's going to be another PDF that I'll share with you. Print it out, put it on your refrigerator door, and you want to pick the clean 15 are ones that are low in pesticides, so you don't necessarily have to always get organic for them. But then the dirty dozen are the ones like celery, peaches, strawberries. You want to be very conscious of getting organic because they're the most exposed to pesticides and they have the highest loads. And so pesticides cause a lot of issues in our nervous system and our gut system. So you absolutely want to make those simple choices, and just start with those 12 would be essential. And what's great about the refrigerator, it means that you're shopping around the supermarket, right? You're really picking fresh fruits and vegetables that need to stay in your fridge. So that's already a great thing to have. Cookwares. Another looming, passive issues that we could have with cookware is we've had the habit of using cookwares that are convenient for us. So Teflon has been around for a long time. It doesn't cause food to stick to oil. But what happened was it came from that residual, oil is bad for you mentality, where it's been disproven time and time again. And now the FDA doesn't even say say the upper limit or the USDA doesn't even say that there's an upper limit to fat for us, because fat is not bad for us. And so it's okay to cook with oil in order for it to not stick. And cast iron is such a great way for us to cook, or copperware is so good for us or stainless steel. So definitely want to avoid using Teflon. Again, microwave also, with all the EMF, you want to avoid using it or direct exposure to it. And then another wonderful tool for, a healthy healing environment in our home, in the kitchen especially, is a blender. I have a Vitamix, and they're Ninja. There are many different blends out there. And actually, when I was in college, I actually just had the $20 one from Target, and I find it as useful as the one I have now. And the only difference is that the one now I have takes about a few minutes to do what the my cheaper blender that would take at least like 10 minutes to blend or 15 minutes to blend, just not as fast. But what's nice about a blender is that it's a great way for us to actually eat raw food and vegetables, for us to make nutrients fast, so that we can have snacks that are healthy in between meals. And why the raw is because we actually that's the way that we can maximize our vital nutrients. I think there's a lot of recipes that tries to hide green for children, or adults to eat. You can make a green smoothie that puts spinach into your meals, into your smoothies. We make a popsicle that's made with banana, coconut cream, and pineapple, and spinach. And my kids absolutely love it. And it's also another great way for them to have some raw spinach. But my kids love vegetables. It's just a fun way for them to make green ice popsicle. So now that concludes all the big topics around the air, water, lighting, and then all the specific rooms. And it comes back to this final piece of the tips I have to talk about: the healthy healing space, is that it is a living space for us. This is where you live, and this is where you make life happen, where you generate the source that creates and supports life. So when you go into your living space, it's so important to be aware and say, do the things that you own serve you? Does the living space serve you? Does your environment energize you? Or the other way around, you feel like you are, just constantly cleaning up. You're just constantly wiping, and things are just, from morning to day, and then the next day, from morning to day, you're handling, you're dealing with it. It's not actually a place where you go home, you can sit, you can read, you can do what you enjoy. So it's super important to pay attention to that. So pay attention to the atmosphere, pay attention to the ambiance, and actually make it a place that is a home, not just a house, a living space, right? Um, Great book to read, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, or even just looking on the videos for some of what Marie Kondo has talked about. She's very simple. She would have you just go through every item you have in your home, and you pick it in your hand and you say, does this item make me feel joy, or does this item make me feel sad? And it should be a very simple answer. If it doesn't, doesn't make you feel joy, but it makes me remember, it makes me feel guilty if I throw it away because it's from so and so, then it doesn't spark joy. And I highly recommend you consider just removing that from your home. And if you're not sure about throwing it away, donate it. Go in the spirit of sharing and offering. It's so healing to be able to share what you don't use anymore. It could be a beautiful thing that you appreciate, but it doesn't bring you joy. Then share it, make it a gift for someone, or to someone in need. And that's the only way. When you start creating a space surrounding you with only things that create and spark joy, is the only way you can actually truly energize yourself when you're in that space. When you're in that home, you have to pay attention to, does the home adapt to you? Or do you adapt to your space, right? Is there so much stuff in your home that you just, you eat and you just work and you write in this only small desk area, rather than, where there's this place for everything? How can you change that space around so that you can feel like you can enjoy it at the most? What's your favorite thing to do, and are you doing it in the favorite place in your home? It's almost like, does the home feel like a good companion to you? Does the space feel alive to you? So a lot of times having life plants is good, right? Having paintings that you enjoy, having words of messages that reminds you of wonderful things, of the kind of vision you want to live for your life, is also what you want to do. So how you build your energy, how you manifest your life, is how you invest in your energy. So if you invest in a positive energy, if you invest in a place to be healing, every bit of it, you're super hyper conscious and setting it up to serve you and your health, then it's gonna manifest health.